Now, if you have to have fish in a bucket for any period of time, the enemy is the flat surface. So putting an aerator in there is going to make the fish a lot more comfortable. Then if you don't have an aerator in there, then what you can do is just try and break the surface. So even if you just every now and then swish it up, but breaking the surface of the water is what allows more oxygen to go into the water. Or even just doing a little bit of a swirly, but you're really trying to break the water. Because when you break the water, you put new oxygen in the water, and that's the thing that the fish really need. And when you're transporting the fish, when they're in the car and they're sloshing around, then their oxygen level is usually totally fine. But fish in a bucket, you've got to try not to have too many fish in a bucket. If you need to put fish in a bucket, try not to feed them for a couple of days before you do whatever you're going to have to do. And try not to leave them for long periods of time flat. So less fish per bucket is good. Putting an aerator in it, if possible, is good. And if not, swishing around the water and agitating the surface. Even just getting a cup and bringing it high and tipping it in. Anything you can do to re-aerate the water is what keeps the fish comfortable. Now, with some of these smart eco pumps like this Aqua L pump that I'm using, it has a non-burnout feature, which means if it runs dry, it will not burn out. And in this case, that's been a godsend, because this pond actually did leak and the pump didn't burn out. It actually shut itself off. So it's really important that you make sure that, particularly going into the pump, there's no air bubbles, particularly if you're going to run inline like this one. And then to reset the pump after it's turned itself off, you've actually got to turn off the power and unplug it. So pull the whole plug out and leave it out for at least 30 seconds, then pump it back in again, turn it back on, and then give it a little bit of time, and then it will turn itself back on. So that's exactly what happened here. And now it's pumping beautifully. So that's really important to know, because if you didn't know to actually unplug it, and you didn't know to give it time to turn back on, you could actually throw it out and think it was no good, but it was actually functioning perfectly. So this is all done now. The fish are back and the fish are happy. The leak appears to be fixed, so we should be good to go. So now that the fish are back in and it's winter, probably want to give it a couple of weeks before they're fed. The food is underneath there. Now the other thing is that now the system is running, we're waiting for good bacteria to establish in this filter. But ultimately, in about a month, we want the UV turned on. So that just means plugging that in. I can't plug that in until the good bacteria is grown in there. Then we can turn the UV on, and that's what will keep the water nice and clear.